You've always dreamed of becoming a professional artist. Now, that dream is within reach as you prepare a portfolio for art school applications. But as the deadline approaches, you suddenly lose motivation and find yourself avoiding the canvas entirely. Why does motivation feel so unpredictable? And what exactly is it? Psychologists define motivation as the force that drives you to start and sustain a particular behavior. In other words, it's the energy behind your actions. Understanding where this drive comes from is crucial in learning how to maintain it. Motivation is generally divided into two main types: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation occurs when you engage in an activity for its own sake. For example, playing video games as a hobby, where the experience itself is enjoyable, is driven by intrinsic motivation. Any task that feels satisfying, interesting, or meaningful falls into this category. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from external rewards or consequences. Going to the dentist, for example, may not be enjoyable, but you do it for the outcome of having healthy teeth. Other examples include working for a paycheck, seeking praise, or striving for power. These rewards often come later, like receiving a bonus at the end of a work quarter or winning a competition after months of training. While extrinsic motivators like getting paid might seem like strong incentives, their effects can fade quickly. A 2017 study found that people focused mainly on the outcomes of their New Year's resolutions were less likely to achieve them. Instead, those who enjoyed the process of pursuing their goals were more likely to persist. In other words, you're more likely to maintain an exercise habit if you take classes you genuinely enjoy rather than just those that promise visible muscle gains. Decades of psychological research suggest that high levels of intrinsic motivation, whether for school, work, or exercise, lead to greater long-term engagement. However, most daily activities are not purely driven by one type of motivation. For example, studying for a history exam may be intrinsically motivated if you're fascinated by ancient Egypt. But extrinsic factors, like wanting a good grade or meeting family expectations, can also play a role. Interestingly, having both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators isn't always beneficial. A study on military cadets found that those motivated by both personal growth intrinsic and career outcomes extrinsic were overall less driven than cadets who were motivated by just one factor. As a result, they performed worse and were less likely to graduate. Psychologists call this the overjustification effect, the idea that adding extrinsic rewards can dilute an existing intrinsic motivation. However, this only becomes an issue when you already find a task enjoyable. When an activity is dull or uninteresting, extrinsic motivators can actually help. For example, you may never love doing laundry, but it might feel less tedious if you receive praise from a loved one or reward yourself with an episode of your favorite show afterward. Motivation is complex. Even when you're deeply passionate about a goal, finding the drive to pursue it can be tough. But there are ways to boost your motivation, even when it feels impossible. Strengthen your intrinsic motivation by making the task more enjoyable in the moment. Inviting a friend to join you or listening to your favorite music can provide just the push you need to get started, helping you stay committed to your goals in the long run.